Hello. A few days ago, I was sharing with you the great excitement in my family that a baby was on the way. She was safely born, so that was all great. But then, of course, started the family discussion. What name would she have? And then, of course, we get different names being proposed by the mother, the father, grandparents, uncles, aunts. Everyone has an opinion. And they chose the name Lily, simply because they like the name and it's a beautiful flower. So what a lovely reason to choose the name Lily. I asked my parents, well, how did you come to choose my name? My first names being Sandra and Dawn. And they said, well, we chose Sandra because, well, we like it. That's fair enough. We choose names that we like. I said, well, how about the Dawn bit? And they said, oh, that was a bit different. We chose that for its meaning. The meaning being something new. Lots of uncles and people in the family had been having children, and they were all boys. I was the first girl in years that the family had seen. And they said, oh, this is like the start of a new era, the start of something new. So they chose the name Dawn, the start of a new day. In the Bible, there are lots of names, and sometimes they're really, really significant. But did you know God has a name? He has a name. God to us is a concept, perhaps. It's a person, perhaps. It's a member of the Trinity. Difficult to define, but God is more of a title. God has a name, and he reveals it. There was a man in the Old Testament, in the book of Exodus, who in chapter 3, Moses, he went off looking after the sheep. He was a shepherd at that time. And all of a sudden in the distance, he saw a bush. And the bush was covered in flame. And it looked like it was burning up. But it wasn't actually burning at all. It was on flame. And he was so curious to understand what this was. He approached it to find out, what is going on there? What is that? And he got closer and closer. And as he did, a voice said to him, Moses, take off your shoes. You're on holy ground. Moses was obedient, took off his shoes. And he said, well, what are you? He said, I am the God of your ancestors, of your forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. I am your God. Moses said, well, that's a God of the past, but who are you? And that's when God revealed his name. He said, my name is I am. Now that may sound a bit strange. I am. I am what? I am. I am everything. I am everywhere. I am anywhere. I am throughout the universe. I am throughout history and throughout time. But on that occasion, what God was saying to Moses, I am with you. He was calling Moses to do a job. And at this point, he was introducing himself, bringing him into a relationship of knowledge, saying, my name is I am, but also making a promise, I am with you. Whatever you're going to go through, Moses, over the next decades, I am with you. And that's a wonderful promise that we can hold on to too, that God is with us, the good days and the bad. With all the COVID pandemic still running, he's still saying, I am with you. Whether you're feeling great or whether you're feeling down, I am with you. Many years after Moses, Jesus came along. Jesus, the Son of God, the Son of I am. And throughout John's Gospel, he refers to himself to describe himself, saying, I am the Good Shepherd. I am the bread of life. I am the Messiah. Jesus was using that phrase, I am, quite deliberately, connecting to his Father, God, from the Old Testament, but also picking up that promise from the God of the Old Testament, saying, I am with you. And that's Jesus' promise to all those who believe in him, come to know him, come to have a relationship with him. I am with you. Whatever you're going through, Jesus is making you a promise. I am with you. When Jesus came eventually to leave this earth, not through death, because he'd conquered death, he'd been resurrected, but when Jesus came to leave physically, bodily this earth, and he was about to go up to heaven in what in the church we call Ascension, which we celebrate at the end of May, he said to his followers, his disciples, one last promise, which we hear about in Matthew 28. I am with you. I am with you always. I am with you always until the very end of time. And that's Jesus' promise throughout 2,000 years of history to all those who followed him and believed in him. I am with you. Not just collectively to a group of people known as the church, but to the individual that you are, to the individual that I am, to every individual throughout history. I am with you. So whether you're in social isolation, or whether you're with a family, or whether you're living with a flatmate or a partner, alone or with others, Jesus is with you. And his promise to those who believe in him, accept him and follow him is, I will be with you always. If you want to know more about him, simply ask him, Jesus, show me. If you're real, show me. And he will. But his promise to you, I am with you always.